Back to the channel. My name is Crawford. This is Virginia's for Lowriders, where we don't just build lowriders. Keep that in mind. But today, we're working on a lowrider-ish vehicle. It's a bag truck. It's a Mazda. I've been trying to get out here for 2 weeks to work on said Mazda, but it hasn't really worked out. So, yeah, there's been a lot of stuff going on. Like I explained a little in the last video, like friends' welding projects, friends' new cars projects, friends' blah, 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 blah. And yesterday, pulled a center section out of my truck, slapped on some new bearings and a different center section, put all that together with the help of another friend, and my truck's finally up after months of me procrastinating on that. But today, I actually have some free time to work on this thing. Gonna try my best to make some form of some kind of progress. I'm not sure if it's actually going to happen, but that's the idea. I'm going to go through and remove all of this air compressor, tanks, all that stuff, because it's just getting ruined and covered in grinding dust, because this went way further than I was expecting them to initially, so I never took it off. So I'm going to start with that, with removing all of that. While I was cleaning up the frame rails, I found some rust hidden underneath of the Bondo, so that's pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and cut all of that out and try to weld in some new stuff. Hopefully there's good metal somewhere in there, but who knows. But I'm rambling, so let's try to make some progress and see where it goes. Hopefully we actually make some progress on the 3-link, because I've said that for like 4 videos and I keep running into previous fabrication problems, and I'm rambling, so let's get to work. Well, we're back at it, I guess. Going back in the garage. This is now the second day. And I don't know if I already said it, but my truck is finally fixed. But second day. I was out here till 9 something last night, I think. So, I'll show you where I got the frame rails cleaned up. This side nice and cut out, ready to go. This side nice cut out, ready to go, cleaned up. This is actually ground down. I think after I weld it all together, I'm gonna go in and spray some treatment stuff inside the entire frame rail. So yeah, pretty good progress for last night. And today I'm gonna try to at least make some templates for both sides, cut out some steel for both sides. I think I got some over there. And hopefully try to get this stuff tack welded in there at least. I try to come home every day and at least get an hour in, if anything. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes I'm too tired, but today we're going to try and squeeze in an hour in. Going to try to squeeze in an hour. See what happens. It's hard to, I mean, now that I have the AC, it makes it easier, but hard to work in a shop that has zero ventilation and it's been 90 degrees every day and then come home and go right back at it after you drive an hour to get home. But enough complaining and rambling. Let's get back to work. Nice if I could just lay some tape over that and be done with it. Definitely eyeballed the up and down cuts on this and actually made it the same size on both sides, surprisingly. I don't have the exact thickness of the frame rail, so this is a little overkill, but it's gonna have to do because this is what I got laying around. This has obviously been cut at multiple times for multiple projects, so just gonna kind of wasteful for other possibilities, but I mean it's just barely too small to get a full cut out of it. Maybe something like that. Oh, I still got a good bit of material all over. There it is, all fitted up. A little bit of a gap here. That's just from whenever I was cutting off all that old nasty metal, just having to grind out some of the bad stuff. So it's nice and flush, actually flush with both sides of the frame rail. So I'll go ahead and just weld that in. I forgot to hit the record button, but I welded this on. Move the other side. I'm gonna let this cool down before I do the bottom. It's a lot of heat in that one section. Well, they're welded on. I gotta weld the bottoms. I really don't feel like getting weld splatter all over my face today. That one's not quite as pretty, but I kept finding the remnants of that terrible Bondo that is soaked into this entire frame. But it's on there. It is much stronger than it was before, considering the other stuff was rotten. So I think that does it for tonight. I'll pick this back up after work tomorrow. Well, never mind. I talked myself into doing it. They're both welded on the bottom. Now I'm going to go inside and go to bed. Terrible. Well, welcome back. It's the third day of trying to make this video. I think today, since we got a little bit of actual progress done yesterday, I think we're gonna cut some stuff off today. I keep doing this thing where I get hung up on for whatever reason, trying to not modify the stuff that's already on the truck instead of just cutting it all off and starting over. And then I end up cutting it all off and starting over anyway. So today we're gonna cut it off and start over. Not as drastic as I've been doing with everything, but I keep getting fixated on trying to make the 3-link come around here and meet over here, when I think I can just cut this somewhere around here and make the 2 points of the 3-link on this side. So I'm going to cut this off. I'm still going to utilize this, I believe, and stop this one about the same distance, and then come up with something cool for here. And the 3-link is going to get mounted to the center of the rear end, because I think that would be much simpler and probably look cleaner and not make as big of a headache as everything else if I just did single point to 2 points, cross member tied into that guy. I'm gonna start cutting some stuff. Carefully cut this off precisely with the sawzall. Well, I don't remember what day I left off in here. I think it was like Wednesday or Thursday. I don't know. I've lost track of time. It's been like 100 degrees every day. And even with the AC out here, it is hard to get out here at the end of the day. But today, we're going to continue this progress. We're still moving along. But, got the mini split in the garage. I managed to already break the lid, because it's very terrible design the way it pops up and kind of props itself in place, and I managed to break an ear off of it, so I gotta fix that. But this has been on for a week now, and the filter is already disgusting. So I'm going to temporarily use these trim to fits, but I'm going to build a box around the top of the unit. That way when it draws fresh air in from around it, it's at least pulling through a filter that you can clearly see through to stop, hopefully, some of this trash. Hopefully the wind doesn't mess with it, but this thing, it's nasty. It's disgusting. It's going to ruin the unit if I just leave it alone. It looks like it's been like, that's probably months of use inside of a house. So I need to do something about this real quick, and then we'll get back to the truck. Huge difference. That stuff was disgusting. Well, that took probably longer than it should have, but the GoPro shut off. I got the cheap, like, throwaway, cleanable, crappy, cut to fit air filter in there. Just need to find one that's that exact dimension, like an actual nice paper filter, and then I'll build a slot for it to fit in, or actually come up with something other than some tiny little brad nails holding the filter in. But I feel confident that that thing can breathe perfectly fine, and it'll stop sucking in trash. So time to get back to work for like the 20th time in this video. Probably more than that, I don't know. Need to make some progress so I can put the video out and stop rambling. Let's get to work. I'm gonna ramble off some numbers real quick, and maybe it'll make sense. So I did the other videos. If you haven't seen those, check them out, where I raised the factory bed floor. I want to retain the factory bed floor as much as possible. I want to retain the factory gas tank location, That's why I've been doing all of this work, all this extra stuff, is just to keep that gas tank. So I'm gonna ramble off some numbers. Hopefully it makes sense. And yeah, try not to make it too boring, but it allows you to see where I'm coming from on trying to make the decisions for this before I just start welding stuff together like I normally do. And yeah, mount the 3-link tab to the center of the rear end going forward and having it branch off into 2 locations. In doing that, like the rear end right now is as high as it can go in the notches, I'm going to be adding about 2.5, 3 inches of height to the top of the rear end. So I needed to make sure I was going to have enough room to do. If I cut the pinch weld off, basically I'll need about a hair over 2 inches to get to the very bottom of the cab. I personally don't care if it's on there or not. I think it's a lot of extra work for a look that I don't really care about. I'm keeping the 4x4 flares and all that, so if I keep the pinch weld on there, I don't have to trim the fenders. So I think that's the way I'm going to go. I need roughly 4.5 inches off of the factory bed mounts up to clear this. If I add that in there, roughly 5.5 inches. I raised the floor 5.5 inches. There's a 2.25 inch tall stilt underneath the factory floor. It gets mounted onto all of the bed mounts. So it's roughly 7.75 tall. This would be the frame rail. This would be the height that the bed floor is now. This is what I need to clear the notches. This is the factory stilt that I was speaking about. So if I kept the pinch weld, basically removing 1.5 inches from here down, I would have roughly 2 inches of clearance between the notch and the bottom of a floor. And then I would be adding in that extra, let's just round it up to, we'll even say 3 inches from there to the bottom of the floor. If I cut the pinch weld off, it significantly takes away from that. So I think the route to go is to keep the pinch weld, because again, I don't want to cut up my fresh fenders, I don't want to cut up my fresh bed. It doesn't really make sense. So I think this is my number to go for. I'll try to keep that tab within this height and everything should be okay. Because all of these are rough estimates, I've kind of given myself a little bit of wiggle room and gone heavy on the measurements to where it guarantees that I have enough room. And if not, if I have to get creative with the bed floor and the sheet metal, it is what it is. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think I'll have plenty of room. So now I'm going to go ahead and start making those mounts. I'm going to make the lower bars. I already got the lower bar length, so I'm just going to cut the tubing that I have, make up the lower bars, tack those together, get those set in place. This looks ridiculous. I just can't find a shorter bolt, so this is my quick mock-up of this. Obviously, I can take some height out of these if I need to, because this isn't necessary. These tabs are roughly 2.75 inches tall, and that puts this about 2.5 inches away from the top of the notch. So with that said, I should be like right there, exactly where I need to be, roughly with that there. It should be fine. And again, I could probably take out another, at least 1/4 to 1/2 inch out of the height of this, because this is way up there. It does not need to be that tall. So, I mean, this is the most angle it would have, and I mean, it's nowhere close to it. So, I think everything will work out fine. I just need to stop thinking about it and start cutting some stuff up again. Yeah, I mean, to finish this video, stop listening to me talk. These are the ends that I'll be using. Tapered the 4-link bar a little bit. That way, when this gets welded, I can fill that weld a little better. Nice machine finish. This is a really beefy bar. These are 1/4 inch thick DOM. I don't think this little truck will ever make enough horsepower to ever kind of any worldly possibility of ruining this bar. But yeah, I got both of them made up. Nice and even. Both of them are tapered. I'm going to put a little bit more taper on this one so it matches that guy. And I'm going to go ahead and tack weld these together. Okay, lower bars are made. I did a lot of rambling in this video. I feel like it's getting really long. There has been progress made, so it's not a totally wasted video. Bars are made, frame is plated, figured out the location of this, did a lot of measuring, and these turned out pretty cool. They are dead on, exactly the same, and ready to go. The problem that I have now, I keep forgetting to order the bolts. I have an actual, my garage is a total mess. I have an actual bolt bin, but I kind of want to do 9/16, or if I do 5/8, which I'm still open because the Heims and the bar ends that I have bushings to do either one. I know the 5/8 are, of course, going to be stronger. It's also a truck that has like 50 horsepower. It's not exactly necessary, but regardless, I don't have the bolt lengths to mock all of this up. Kind of sucks. Thought I was going to get further along, but I don't have any. I have like 2 bolts. That weird configuration you got there, that's way too long. I definitely don't have enough to mock everything up. So I need to go inside and I need to order bolts. But I think that about wraps it up for this video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and definitely subscribe. Trying to hit that 1,000 mark. If you could subscribe, it'd be much appreciated. I am super close to that 1,000 mark. I'll see you on the next one.